So this month's mystery envelope comes from Danielle Wagner, and she wants us to put together a scrapbook layout using the contents that she sent, which included 3 cards from the May Paper Pumpkin Kit. Those are some vellum layers that you can punch out, and I have a few extras of those because I forgot them when I put together my cards. But I don't know that I'll need the extras. And there's several die cuts. We have 3 envelopes and just 3 different cards that have different scenes on them. So I think I want to compile all of these into a layout that would almost be like if you were driving across the country, what you might see. And it would go from this landscape to that one to the next one, if that makes sense. So I'm going to bring in 2 pieces of black cardstock and cut out a 1-inch frame around them. I will do one on camera. Basically, I'm putting my cardstock in and making it go over 1 inch to the right, and then cutting up from 11 inches to 1 inch, and then I rotate it 90 degrees, and I do that 4 times, and I get my black frame. And the inside I'm going to be using as some photo mats. So I can always cut those down and cut some photo mats that I can put behind my pictures, and those will coordinate. But I don't need the whole sheet behind my layout. So next I'm going to bring in my pool party cardstock, and I'm going to cut it down to 11 inches square. And I go ahead and I cut the other piece of cardstock down to the same thing, and I'm going to glue this on top of that black frame. When I put it down on my mat, I like to use a wet adhesive so I can kind of wiggle it a little bit and make sure I have it exactly where I'm going to want it. So I just run my glue around all 4 sides and then put on my pool party cardstock. So this layout is in collaboration with the Inspiration Collaboration Design team, and I'm also taking on a challenge that came from Stampin' Up this month to use some of our alphabet dies for a title. So I'm kind of hitting 2 challenges in one go. So I think I'm going to bring in the alphabet a la mode dies, and I think that'll work just fine. So I've went around to all 3 card bases, and I showed you my bone folder. I kind of creased out or rubbed that middle seam out of the card so it was not quite so obvious that I had a seam going down my card. And then I'm just going to cut down this middle card so that it spans across the left and right layout. I won't use quite all of it just because it doesn't fit on this layout, but I cut it just a little bit extra larger than I needed for the width, and I'm just going to tuck it underneath to get it to line up where I want. And I will do the same thing on the other side as well. So you can see you're already going from that mountainous landscape to the next one. And then I will bring in my right hand layout. I had burnished the middle of that card to get the seam out, and I will put that down. Sorry, I must have been out of camera shot there. And the same thing here as the other page. I'm going to kind of tuck it underneath so that it lines up. And I know there's kind of a harsh line between the different landscapes, but I'm going to use some of those die cuts, and I might even cut a few more trees to kind of conceal that. And so the next thing I'm going to do is bring in all of those layers that were sent with the cards and figure out the best place to layer them up on my layout. I really love all of these layers, and I like the depth that it gives the landscape because the vellum really adds something to it, and I just like layering them all up. Now, there's different ways that you can adhere the vellum. I'm just going to use a little bit of that wet adhesive, I think. So here I am just trying to figure out the best placement for all of my layers. And my goal, if I'm honest with you, is to just use as many of those layers as I can. They might not all match up perfectly because they were honestly designed for just the card fronts, and I'm showing a full card front and back. So that's why some of them might not line up just perfectly, but I'm trying to use as many of them as I can and helping smooth that transition from one card to the next for that landscape. So here, I think I have this tiny extra piece from the second card, and I'm going to go ahead and cut another layer in. The reason I did not use this part of the card is because it had a sun, and you notice that down there on that other layout, I already have a sun. So that was kind of repetitive, and so that's how I chose which piece to eliminate for my layout. So I just cut off the top of that little landscape and use the rest of it as one of my little layers. And I just kind of keep playing with everything, trying to figure out how I can fit it in. And then I kind of come in here and snip a little bit, trying to smooth out the rolling of the hills so that they kind of roll from one card to the next card and they fit in a little bit more nicely. So we have done some traveling out west to some of the national parks. I love seeing the Glacier National Park's the one we've been to the most, and it is absolutely beautiful. And I can tell you, just within Glacier National Park, you can see very different landscapes, especially West Glacier to East Glacier. And then the same thing, as you're going through Yellowstone and on down to the Grand Tetons. It's very significant difference in the landscapes and the land formations as you travel across those parts. And so I think one of those road trips where we either drove across Glacier National Park on the Going to the Sun Road, or maybe when we were down in Yellowstone and driving through there. I think this layout will be perfect for that because we saw so many different types of landscape just within a daily road trip. So that's kind of what I envisioned when I saw these three cards and figured I would use those to make my layout. So here I'm bringing in another piece of those landscapes, and when I can layer it up, if it matches perfectly like this one, it just makes it deeper to have the extra layer on top. And then I love these trees. They are the perfect piece to tie together the different cards so that you can't tell when you go from one to the other. It really takes away the harsh lines between the different segments. So I might have to cut some more trees just to make this a little bit more cohesive. These are pine trees, and I think I have a really cool Stampin' die set that has some pine trees from last Christmas season. So I'll have to dig those out in just a minute. And then we'll just layer up a few more pieces here. And it's okay to even take these layers and make them go across from one card into the next one to smooth out the transition. So you might see some of them that kind of overlap a little bit, and I think that's just a great way to continue to tie them all together because each of these cards have distinct different colors in them. So if I can overlap it a little bit, it ties it together a little bit better. So I think I have just about all the pieces across the bottom. I've built my landscape up, and I think I can make this work as long as I can layer some trees or something in front of them. And then the next thing I decide to do is that sun that's on the card doesn't really stand out. It kind of blends in a little bit. So I think I want to bring in like my Wink of Stella and have that be a little bit glittery right there. And oh no, I squeezed way too much. So I just keep smoothing it out and smoothing it out. Once it dries, I'm sure I'll be fine. But I'm still getting used to the differences between some of the tools that we have with Stampin' Up. And boy, this one really squeezed out fast on me. So I'm just blending in that sun with my Wink of Stella to give it a little bit of shimmer everywhere, and then cleaning up my mess. And then I will have to set that one aside so that it can dry. So let's bring back in the other layout. Okay, so I have opened up these card bases so that I can see how big they are. And I think I want to make some mats for my photos. Now here's something very important that you should know if you are ever twisting a card kit into a scrapbook layout. I don't believe these cards are acid free. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that they are against the layout at the bottom and have an additional piece of acid-free cardstock between the card and my photo so that my photos do not deteriorate at all. So I believe my black cardstock here is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4, and I'm cutting my cards down to 4 1/2 by 6 1/2. And these cards do have a fold in them once I have cut it up, but I don't think it becomes too obvious, especially when you put the layer on top of it. I think it's pretty discreet, and it's just a little bit of marbling on the paper, so it coordinates with the cards, and I will kind of line these bases up to go along with the cards that I had across the bottom of the layout, if that makes sense. So I'll start with the blue all the way to the right and work my way over to the peach one. And then of course I had some scraps. I had some pool party from something else that I had done, a small scrap left of the black cardstock, and then a little bit of this particular envelope. And I figured I could feature that piece for some journaling on my layout. So I'm just putting these all down, trying to decide which way to put them and whether they should be landscape or portrait, and then laying them across the layout and seeing what I can do to kind of smooth these transitions for the base of the card where I have those cards. So I think I can come in with a few more trees that would really look nice. So I'm going to get these mats together and then add my little photo placeholder spots to the front of them. And oh look, I can use another photo placeholder as a mat behind my journaling block. So I do that and then glue these all together. And then I'm going to add some more trees to the base of my layout to the very bottom. Okay, so now I have everything glued down, and you notice that this journaling spot, I tried to make the top of it even with the last photo spot that I have. So that'll give me room on the right hand page to put my title. So I go ahead and I am cutting out some pine trees and some letters. So this kind of layout just reminded me of the song that says all creation sings, because the landscape was so beautiful. And then I had the frosted forest dies, and I cut out a bunch of trees from there. And so I'm going to layer these up. The one in my right hand, it didn't punch out as well as I wanted, and I was just using up my scrap cardstock, but I think I can make it work by layering another one on top of it. And I'm just trying to find the best placement for all of these, going across the bottom and still like concealing those obvious lines between each of the cards. And then I went ahead and cut out some birds because my title was All Creation Sings, and I think of birds singing, you know, when you wake up in the morning or something like that. So I cut out some birds to put on my layout as well. And some of these trees I just glue straight down to the layout, and other ones I pop up with our dimensionals, and that seemed to give it some dimension, and I really like how those all turned out. So I do want to tell you about an upcoming special that we are going to have in the month of October. I'm really excited about this opportunity because we have two different specials going on if you would like to join my team for Stampin' Up. So the one special is the same price as normal, and you just get a whole lot more product with it. Or there's another special where they have completely discounted the join price, and you still get the normal amount of product with the join offer. So if you are thinking about getting your own discount on supplies, honestly, the reason I started selling with another company several years ago was just simply for the discount. And so if you would like to jump on the bandwagon and join my team, there are so many great opportunities, and I would love to chat with you and tell you about some of the extra perks about being on my team and on my uplines team. So I think it's a really great opportunity. And when you can join for less, or you can join with the regular price and get more product, that's just like the best time to join at all. So that will start in October. So be looking on my Facebook and Instagram pages for me to post something about those specials, especially right around the first of the month when I list those. And if you would like to talk before them, just let me know. So this next part, I'm gluing down the title, and it says All Creation Sings. Well, I kind of in my head am thinking about how the lines of a melody go up and down if you're looking at music. And so I decide I'm going to kind of make these letters go down and back up and down and just kind of flow like they were, music on a sheet. And so that's what I'm doing with these, and that's why they're going up and down. And I will tell you, this is the absolute easiest, laziest way to put on a title, because you don't have to line it up, you don't have to measure it, you don't have to get out a straight edge or anything. You just kind of willy-nilly put them down and make it go up and down, but it looks like music to me. So I just think it's perfect for this particular title. And then since it is All Creation Sings, I think I'm going to put on some musical notes too. Now, I have not been with Stampin' Up! For that long, probably about 15 months or so now. So I don't have a huge collection of Stampin' Up! Stamps. So I kind of glanced through what I had, and I didn't see any musical ones. So I just decided I'd bring in my black journaling pen, and I would kind of freehand it and put on some notes and some rests and some treble clef and bass clef and things like that. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to draw those things around on that right hand page and give it a real music type feel, and I think that'll work. I think that'll add just a little bit to it. This is probably the layout where I've used the least amount of supplies in a long time. Usually my list of supplies and my description are super, super long, but this time it was relatively short. I had the black and pool party cardstock, I had the paper pumpkin kit pieces that Danielle sent us, and then I had the dies, both the Frosted Forest and the Alphabet a la mode dies, and so it really came together really fast. So you don't have to have tons and tons of supplies to make something that looks really cute and really beautiful. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this layout, and I hope you can jump over and see the others who are in the Inspiration Collaboration Design team. I will add the Mystery Envelope playlist for you to check them out. Like, comment, share, and subscribe for more crafty inspiration.